And so I went and I looked at his profile and I liked everything that he had written, except he was out of my age range. He was just like, I just didn't want to get up with some, old guy that's just looking for somebody to take care of him. And I'm like, I'm over that. But he wrote something that is the exact words that I had written when younger men would think I was too old. And it was, age is just a number, not planning on getting old anytime soon. And in fact, I'm youthing.
Youthing.
We're youthing. And there was like the same words that I would use. So I'm like going, oh boy, if he really means it, then I at least need to give this guy a chance.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Conscious Dating Network Success Story Interviews. Today, I am really excited to interview Kim and Richard, who I just met, and we've been emailing a little bit back and forth and learning a little bit about them, but I don't know much, so it's really exciting. Hi, Kim and Richard. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having us. We're
Yeah.
really excited.
Thanks very much. Great to be here.
So how long ago did you meet on Spiritual Singles?
Well, I can tell you the exact date, June 4th, 2024.
Oh, wow. Okay. So not even a year ago. You
Not
guys,
even a year.
you guys went
Right.
fast. You
Very
went
recent.
fast then.
Mhm.
That's awesome. And you haven't gotten married yet, have you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you have. Woo! Oh, that's beautiful. Great, great. Okay. So let's start with who contacted whom first on the site.
Well, that would be me because I was looking, through the various postings and, I had a criterion or criteria. I was looking for a water sign, Pisces, a Cancer, or a Scorpio. So I had that. And which, so I was looking at various profiles and none of them clicked. And I didn't see Kim's, even though she's a Pisces.
And a Cancer rising and Cancer moon.
Right, she should have been there. The reason she wasn't was because I was playing in an age range and she was out of it. See, I'm a little bit older than Kim, like about, 6 years.
Okay. 6 years. So you were looking in a really narrow range
Yes,
then.
I was
Yeah.
looking in a narrow range, and when I expanded the range, I saw Kim. And so and that's all I did is I looked at
Yeah.
her profile.
So yeah, I had been doing some online dating for a while, and it was really like a love-hate relationship because I get on and like, I'm never doing this again, and this back and forth, back and forth. And the last go around, I was taking a shower and just singing in the shower, and then Spirit just spoke loud and clear, sign up for Conscious Singles. And I'm like, yeah, no. No, I don't want to do this again. But you don't argue with Spirit. So I did. And I only signed up for the shortest amount of time. I mean, this is the last draw. So it was 2 days before the subscription was going to expire. And I get a notice that someone looked at my profile. And I'm like, okay, we're running out of time. And so I went and I looked at his profile and I liked everything that he had written, except he was out of my age range. He was just like, I just didn't want to get up with some, old guy that's just looking for somebody to take care of him. And I'm like, I'm over that. But he wrote something that is the exact words that I had written when younger men would think I was too old. And it was, age is just a number, not planning on getting old anytime soon. And in fact, I'm youthing.
Youthing.
We're youthing. And there was like the same words that I would use. So I'm like going, oh boy, if he really means it, then I at least need to give this guy a chance. So I sent him a message right away and I said, listen, I see that you looked at my profile. If you like what you're reading, send me a message.
So I wrote up a really nice message and attempted to send it, and it didn't go through because I have to confess, I was just looking, so I hadn't become a member. And to send this message, I had to become a member, so I had to pay money. Can I tell them how much?
What's that?
Can I tell them how much? Is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
I paid $24
Yeah,
$24.
to
the
send.
monthly subscription. That yeah,
That's
hell of a
right.
deal.
And it turned out I only sent one message. This is the $24 message. Was it worth it?
He hit the jackpot.
Yeah, I think so.
So he sends me the message, and I just broke out laughing. I mean, I just could not stop laughing because to me it was like, oh, it's just like the universe. I mean, it's like 2 days before the subscription expired. I'm done with online dating forever. And in comes, and I had just this knowing like, oh my gosh, it's just like, this is it. And so I replied back because I had been through, you email, you text back and forth, and you text back and forth, and that goes on forever, and then it goes into nothing. And so I replied and said, listen, I really like what you've written, and you don't really know until you've talked. So I immediately sent him my phone number.
Yeah, like right away. Not the usual way where, a few messages go back and forth. Let's see how this goes. Nope. Phone number. So
Yeah, she wanted to cut to the chase right away.
she
Check
did
you
cut
out.
to the chase. And in addition, she had given at the bottom of this message the address of her YouTube channel, which is very unusual because usually you don't get that sort of information right away. All you have maybe is a first name and that's it. Well, with the YouTube channel, I could see her entire name and I could go to the YouTube channel and I saw all sorts of YouTubes. I saw her reading poetry. I saw her with farm animals on the farm. I saw her singing light language. And so, lots of different views. So I had a lot more information about her just through the YouTube channel. But then because I had her full name, I'm a researcher. I'm sort of snoopy, and I went to her Facebook site. Figured she has a Facebook site. And sure enough, she did lots of photos and lots of things she had written. So I had a lot of information about Kim even before the phone call.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, okay. So a couple things it reminds me of Chris and Paige, because I forget who sent who a message first. I think she sent him a message and she was just so taken by him, but then he wasn't really getting her, like he didn't see it. And so then she sent her YouTube channel so he could get more of a sense of who she was in depth. And that's when he went, oh my gosh, yes, I totally resonate with her. And then he clicked in and started pursuing. So there's that part, which is awesome. And that's why I want people to do more, put a video on their profile too, because you can put a video on your profile and that at least gives others an idea of your voice, your mannerisms, right? Even if you just say, hi, this is Jill. This is me.
Yeah.
Hi, write me. It doesn't even have to anything. It can just be you saying hi and smiling, just because it, bringing it from a 2D photo to a 3-dimensional person, right, is so different.
Right.
And then I just wanted to clarify too with the subscription. So people join, everyone can join for free. And then to initiate a message, you need to upgrade and subscribe. Now, if she had written you a message, an actual message, you could have replied for free. So I'm not sure, what happened there. Like she could have sent a free hello if she sent a free hello saying whatever it said.
I sent him a message.
Personally wrote it?
Yeah.
Okay,
well then you could have replied for free, but
well, it said I needed to have a membership, so that's what I did. I don't think I think the first time it wasn't enough. Anyway,
whatever.
Yeah.
The mechanics worked.
Yeah, we got through it.
I got an extra $24 out of you anyway.
That's right.
And we're so grateful, Jill. So
Yes, we
grateful.
are. That
Yeah,
we are.
yeah. Well, right, because you wouldn't. Where were you both living when it happened?
Well, I was in Roanoke, Virginia.
Yeah, there's some backstory to all this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
My life pretty well upended in 2020. Dark night of the soul, divorce. I was living in Florida, and I had to just start over. And I was driving around near Ocala, Florida, and my heart just went out. Like, I just want to live on a beautiful property with horses and, kind of take care of gardens and just be part of something like that. And that night I found this website called Workaway. And that was a place where you can go and work on properties, get room and board in exchange for helping out. And I found this gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful 140-acre horse farm in Tennessee.
Ooh.
And it was owned by a lady who was very spiritual. I called her on the phone. She was my age. We immediately connected. We were like soul sisters. It was so divinely orchestrated. And so I moved to Tennessee. This is in East Tennessee. And that's where I was. And I went, during the few years of just really healing and loving myself, because that's one of the things we're so passionate about when we share, our message with people is the primary requirement is loving yourself first.
Key.
And so I really was going through this process within my own being, and then happy with myself, loving, here I am doing what I love, but then noticing, wouldn't it be nice? It would be nice to share life again with a partner. And here I'm out in the boonies. I mean, it's very, very remote. And I had a vision in getting up in the morning, going into the little sitting area, and I had a vision of a man sitting on the couch saying, "You have to get online dating. That's how I'm going to find you." And I
Oh,
had so much resistance. I really did. It was a real, really? And then began that process. And then you can tell where you were.
Well, I was in Roanoke, but in March, I hadn't moved into my apartment because I'd made a reservation with an Airbnb in North Carolina. So I went down there, and I'd had a financial loss, and so I was in a dark place and trying to get through that. And I came out of it, and I realized, I can't avoid life. I had gone down to Roanoke thinking, I've had two marriages and two long-term relationships, and that's enough, and I can live the rest of my years, and and
Be an old
just
man.
yeah, be an old guy, and But after this loss, I realized, I can't avoid life, and part of the experience of life is a relationship. So I told the universe, I am willing to get into a relationship. And so when I came back to Roanoke, I had an apartment to put together, and I got, that's when I thought about conscious singles, and okay, I'd been on dating sites before, and I'd met people, and I thought, oh, here we go.
Resistance.
One more time, all right, I'll just look. That's why I didn't become a member right away.
I
But I
see.
also had sort of a spiritual visualization where I imagined a woman in the apartment with me. And now I could have imagined any woman I wanted, but this is the one that came in. She was about 5'4",
I'm 5'4".
and she was not, skinny,
I'm
or
not skinny.
she was full of figure. I couldn't see her face, but I knew she had bangs.
They're growing out.
And she would sit on my lap, and we'd be together in the kitchen. And I also got a name through my guides. And I thought, and it was Clarissa. And I thought, boy, that'd be amazing if this woman turned out to be Clarissa. And I thought, well, it's probably not exactly the way it works. So I looked up the meaning of Clarissa, and it's another form of the name Claire. And Claire means, and you be the judge, clear and bright.
Yes.
That's kind of me. So, and
Uh,
he'd have these visualizations. He talked about this woman in the kitchen. I would be in the farmhouse, and I started to um, just be so aware of a presence of a man, like I'm at the kitchen counter washing dishes, and this presence coming up and put his arms around me, and it felt so real. And I'd walk in the woods, and I just had these, I was just visualizing, but feeling into my dream. And
yeah.
it was so real. It just was so real. And so there was this knowing that this partner was coming, even though I was having maybe the experience of, through the process of the online dating meeting, not working out, that back and forth. But that whole process, I learned it was really educating myself. It was helping me fine tune more what do I really want? What,
Mm.
it was really just, and also was showing me that when things didn't work out, that I really was not attached, that I wasn't needy. I wasn't like, oh, there was no neediness. I was perfectly happy. Oh, that didn't work out. Well, I really met an interesting person, but because I felt it so real, it became just this knowing that this partner's in my life, and it's just a matter of divine timing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you both tapped into each other's energy
Yeah.
before you met, right? And even
Yes.
it's funny, Kim, because I've written articles and been interviewed on a lot of different shows like podcasts and stuff. And I always talk about that example even of being in the kitchen. Like imagine him coming up behind you in the kitchen and putting his arms around you, and to manifest, because that's something I think a lot of women in particular, and the men on the other side of it, if we're speaking heterosexual, can relate to, because we're in the kitchen cooking usually at least a couple
Right.
times a day, right? And so it's a common, experience for everybody. And then to have a partner come up behind you and wrap his arms around you, maybe kiss your neck, and
Which he does every day. I mean, it's just a natural thing that he does every morning.
Oh,
yeah, well, I could.
you make it easy,
I
dear.
make it
That's
easy.
right. There's
That's so sweet.
a
Well, I
strong
can really.
attraction.
There you go. I could feel it. Like when you were talking about it, I had goosebumps. I could feel the connection that you guys have, and the predestined, or that you were meant to meet each other.
Hmm.
Well, I want to even mention he was in Roanoke, and we were 2.5 hours apart. Okay, but when I found out that he lived in Roanoke, I just chuckled because it was like, I don't know, 2017, I was still married. And my ex and I were thinking we were going to move, and I had Roanoke. It was like, oh, we got to live in Roanoke. And I
Wow.
even, after the divorce, I just went to Roanoke just check out
Check it
Roanoke
out.
because it was just on my radar. So when he was from Roanoke, I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, we were
Wow.
just 2.5 hours away, but um, one of the visualizations I had was my future partner was going to, like, I was a princess in a castle, and I lived in an 8-bedroom farmhouse with 5 other women, right? It was a sisterhood, and there's this beautiful front porch, and we have a picket fence and this arbor, and I imagined my prince just coming, and on his white horse. He had a white Toyota, and would drive up and walk through the arbor, and that's how we would meet. And it was so real, and that's exactly what happened.
Right?
Exactly.
Wow.
So we talked. We had the phone call. We talked for how many days?
Well, we uh, we started on Tuesday night, and by Friday we were making plans to meet. And what's
Yeah.
really unusual about that is that, Kim told me about her situation that this property has Airbnbs, and that I would come
Yeah.
and stay in one of the Airbnbs. Now, what's unusual is that usually the way it goes is, messages back and forth. Finally, the phone call, and you have a few calls, and finally you get around to, well, what do you think about meeting? Oh, okay. And this was very different because I was going to come to where she was living and stay in an Airbnb. It was a separate building, but it was almost the equivalent of her saying, why don't you come over? And I've got a bedroom for you in my house. Now, it wasn't the same house. And the other thing was, it wasn't just going to be for one day. We were talking about 4 days.
Yes. So
Yeah,
but
good.
the reason behind this is, and without going into the story, I was without a car. About several months previously, my car got totaled, a whole nother story. So I don't have a car. So not only am I, needing to, I'm trying to manifest a man, the man's going to have to come to me.
Yeah.
So I was
As he should
fortunate,
anyway.
huh?
He should.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I was fortunately was on this property that had all these Airbnbs, beautiful area of Tennessee, and I live in a house with all these women. So in my mind, not only I'm going to check him out, he's going to have to pass the sister test.
Mhm.
That's great. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great. So you were 2.5 hours apart.
Yeah.
right.
Okay. And did you meet on that Friday?
Well, no, we talked about meeting and we set it up, and then I came Monday, June 10th. June 10th was our first meeting.
Yeah.
And that's when I pulled up in the white Toyota and we met under the arch. Now, one of the things I really liked was I always had this fantasy of a woman waiting for me sitting on the front, on the steps of a porch. And there she was sitting on the steps of the porch of the farmhouse. And that was just great. And then we met and we just hit it off right away. There
Oh,
was,
immediately.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Immediately.
like you knew each other already, kind of thing.
So yeah, it was like that. She took me over to the Airbnb, and I brought all my bags upstairs, and she helped, which is always nice to see. And then the Airbnb has a balcony, and she said, "Here, I'll show you the balcony." We went out on the balcony, and we could see the farmhouse and the farm. And then we're talking away, and she says, this forward woman says, "May I kiss you?" And so that was our first kiss. First,
Uh,
our first
Yeah.
within 2 hours,
Yeah, it
less than two
was
hours.
just this knowing. It was so funny because before he came, like the day before he came, I was walking in the forest and just, laughing. And I was like, okay, Kim, you're going to take this slow. We don't want to rush into anything. And again, I just broke out laughing. I mean, it was like spirit was laughing through me and the spirit was saying, yeah, right.
yeah, yeah.
Honey, this is not how it's going down. And so again, my intuition was just letting me know this is it. And what was amazing was my sisters, this tribe of women, they loved him. I mean, he just fit in like perfectly. And within a couple days, the one lady owns the property who's like my soul sister, she said, "You two are just acting like a married couple."
Aw.
Well, she picked up on something because to continue with after the kiss on the balcony, how romantic, huh? We went downstairs and we were going to go over to the farmhouse for the first time, and we get outside the door and Kim shakes her hand like this. And it was the sign, take my hand. So we went over to the farmhouse holding hands.
Yeah.
Aw, that's
And,
sweet.
by Wednesday, we were talking about marriage.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
when you meet, you might think, and we've run into people like this, we told them, oh, we've only, we'll tell you about Kim moving in and all that, but how long you been together? 3 months.
Yeah.
Aren't you moving a little bit fast? Well, when it's right, time doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Our relationship, in terms of time, it's timeless, and we just flowed with it. There wasn't any hesitation, and we talked about marriage. We talked about her moving in with me. And I left on Friday, so I'd been there instead of 4 days, 5 days. And she was going to move in with me in Roanoke. Now, talk about trust. She had never seen my place, never seen the neighborhood, and yet she was going to move in. And the only thing was she wanted to stay one more week because she had her sisters and she wanted to wrap things up with them. But I left Friday with my car filled to the gunnels with her stuff.
Great. Yeah. Practical.
That's right. And then for a week, we talked every night on the phone. And she said, well, we planned on her coming the next Friday. And she said, I'll rent a car and drive up. I said, no, I'm going to come and get you. She said,
Oh,
"Yeah." I said, I drive across the United States to come and get you.
oh.
So I
That's so
came and, we, stayed in the Airbnb again. And when we left, packed the car to the gunnels once more, but I had to make room for Kim this time. And we drove back to Roanoke to an apartment she'd never seen.
wow. Yeah. Trust.
Oh,
Wow.
well, and it immediately was like never turn back. I mean, it was like wait, it was just perfect fit. And it's because part of I and we wanted to bring this up in my profile, something that I had said that really drew him was I really felt that the relationship I wanted was one where our relationship was in service to humanity.
Yes.
And that's what really drew him to my profile.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, it's now in these past few months, we've really come into this knowing and of our mission and our service as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And it's like, we have been eternally, we were to meet for this purpose. And
Mm-hmm.
so we
Right.
are on mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Well,
wa-
and
I
that's
want I want to mention a couple of other things, for the guys who want to, some tips on how to treat a woman, how to treat a lady.
okay. Hang on one sec, because I want to tag that point you just made, because I've noticed on my sites that that's what happens is people come together like individually. They're both very powerful and spiritual, conscious, whatever terminology you want to use. And when they come together, it's like instead of 1 + 1 = 2, it's exponentially greater. And
Right.
you start doing things that you wouldn't have done alone.
Oh, we'll
And
tell you all about that.
right, I know we'll
Oh,
get to that for sure. I just want to, tag this point because it's so important that it's like when you meet that person that does complement you so well, they bring out the best in you. You enhance each other's
All right.
lives.
Right.
And if a relationship is not doing that, it's not the one, right?
Yeah.
right,
Well,
right.
I knew she was the one before I got there. Now, I'll just tell you when she came, I thought, I only get to do this once. She's going to see the apartment for the first time. I bought flowers, put them everywhere.
Uh,
I had rose petals going into the bedroom, and I
oh,
also told her something that, I found out that she's quite the interior decorator. I said to her, and I had just moved in. I hadn't done much with the apartment, and I said, you can do anything you want. You can decorate it any way you want. And she took off and made this place a home.
Yeah.
It was
Beautiful
great.
by
perfect.
years. Yeah.
It was
Well,
great.
that's nice because when you're coming in, Kim, you're coming into someone else's house, then it makes it yours too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, that's really sweet. Okay, so Richard, let's talk about men because it's a big deal. And I think, my sites are different than the mainstream sites. So you
Mhm.
guys met on Conscious Singles, which is
Right.
great. This is the first success story interview for Conscious Singles, which they all share the same database. They're just different doorways into the same database, the
Uh-huh.
same house, if you will. And so it doesn't really matter which site anybody joins. However, it's funny because Yeah, all of the success stories so far that I've interviewed have met, they both joined the same site or the same, they came in through the same domain, the same doorway, which they didn't have to do, but it just happens
Hmm.
because there's certain resonance. I think certain people will resonate more with certain names and words, and when they do, their partner probably does too. So I think that's kind of cool. So men, what's your advice for men, Richard? That are your men are single, they might be losing a little hope, they're maybe frustrated. What would you tell them?
Number one, love yourself. Come to a relationship with yourself where you don't need a relationship, where you feel whole within yourself. And then decide whether you prefer a relationship, whether you want a relationship, but not out of need, out of something you want to explore or experience. And of course, relationship is a very important part of experience in life, and which is what I decided to, get back into the game, as it were. But I didn't do it because I was needy. I did it because I wanted to do it. And I came from a place of self-love, and I worked with spirit. I worked with my guides. One of the things I did was I came up with a manifestation list,
Mm.
and I started writing it in my sort of tiny handwriting. And it was a woman who is creative, a woman who is spiritual, a woman who is lively. And then I thought, I don't want a woman, I want the
The
woman.
woman.
So I
Right.
rewrote it. And I started writing
Mm.
the woman who is creative, the woman who is spiritual, the woman who is lively, etc. And it turned into 3 pages, 126 items.
Yep.
And at the bottom of it, I wrote words to the effect that this is nothing for all that is,
Meaning,
meaning that spirit can provide even this
or better.
100 126 items. Now, on when we were talking, I got out the list. I didn't, look at it every day. I hadn't looked at it in, I don't know, a week or two. But as in our phone conversations, one day I got out the list, or it was about Friday. We'd been talking since Tuesday, and I noticed a few items checked off. Now, Sunday, the night before I was going to go and see her, I got out the list again, and I noticed one item after another checked off. And when I met her, there were some things I couldn't know until I met her. And when I met her, I realized I got it all. 126 items. And, and women might find this intimidating, but I did this anyway because one of the items was the woman that I can read this list to. So Tuesday night, we had met for a day, we've been together for a day. We sat down on the couch in the evening, and I brought out the list and I read every item to her. And at the end of it, she said,
This is me.
that's right.
He described me to a T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
The
Wow.
universe is that powerful. Don't ever doubt that the universe can provide you with the woman of your dreams.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's important because some people might think, oh, I'll settle with this or
No.
that. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
Don't set, been there, done that. No, thank you.
And that goes back to the key of loving yourself.
Yes.
And that for me, and that would be my advice to women, is even in the process of online dating, that was clarifying to me to not settle, to realize what I really value, what I really desire, what really, rings true for me. And the more that I grew in my own, self-confidence, self-worth, like,
Hmm.
I got to
Mhm.
the place where I'm so valuable, I'm priceless.
Right.
I wanted the man that just adores me. That just things like I'm just hot bananas, like I'm just such a treasure.
And she is.
And but I had to feel that for myself. I am so
Yeah.
worthy for a man that just will, and so you get that, and what you are inside reflects back. And so we are a reflection to each other of our own complete unconditional love and acceptance. And
Right.
so the thing is that we keep telling each other, just be who you are,
Right.
all of it.
Yes.
I'm a very sensitive, emotional person, and I can just have feelings and I'll just start crying. And he says, bring it on, more, just want more of that,
That's right. Remember, I signed up for this.
Yeah. So,
What
yeah,
sign are you, Richard?
I'm a Cancer.
Oh, okay. So you're both water signs.
yeah,
And
That's right.
yeah.
what's your rising and moon?
Gemini.
Gemini rising and your moon?
Leo.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Wow.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so being together, and going back to the point that you made, um, for a long time, as far as my service to humanity and what I felt called to do, and part of this was my poetry, and I make these YouTube videos, and I'd get out there, but just like crickets, like nothing ever was really coming to fruition. And again, probably working a lot with me and, self-doubt and, inner stuff. But there was also this knowing and this desire to have the partner that where we are combined as like two flames. And I mean, I actually had a vision of this, two flames that came together as one flame, and then that flame just started leaping across the United States. I mean, it was like we were to take this flame of love and share it. And so I was aware that I really was not going to fully step into my purpose or calling without this partner. And how we work together is just, it's amazing. And so we're really on this mission of living love
And loving
and loving
life.
life and sharing the good news. We all have a choice between choosing love or fear. We all have that choice of a happy, vibrant, joyful life. And so that's what we're doing that through our YouTube videos and
And our
website
website.
and
That's right.
yeah.
We are about joy. And we are about bringing heaven to earth. We believe we're not waiting for the fifth dimension. We're living it. We have manifested the fifth dimension in our lives. And we
Yeah. Good.
feel we want everybody else to know our message is come along with us.
Yeah.
Come along with us. Know the
Yeah.
joy that's within and that you can have in your life, living love and loving life.
Mm, that's beautiful. Yes. Yes. And I agree. It's like a lot of us want to manifest heaven on earth, if you will, and the fifth dimension now. And as we just step into that and be and experience it, it's like we don't have to wait for the big solar
Oh, no.
No.
flare,
No.
whatever the heck it is. Like we don't have to wait for that. Let's just live it and be it now. And
That's it.
yeah, I think that's how it's going to happen is the
Exactly.
more of us that just do it, step into it and stop waiting for someone to save us.
No.
It's all about us and coming into our divine beingness, if you will, and really incorporating that, just living it and
That's right.
right, not wait.
Right. We are the hope we've been waiting for. It's not going to
Exactly.
come from the outside. Like you said, it's not going to be a solar flare or, I used to study pole shifts and no, it's not going to be a pole shift.
Or the right politician.
That's right.
Right,
It's
right.
it's going to come from each of us changing our hearts and then connecting collectively across the spiritual matrix and bringing about the new heaven and earth, and what we like to say, the world party.
Yeah. Time for the
Yeah.
it's time to have a world
Time.
party.
That's right.
Yes, the living love, that phrase came to me, actually a song. I was walking in the woods and this song just came through me about living love, loving life, living love, loving life. And the line is, rise within us, O breath of Christ,
The Christ energy.
the Christ energy, the Christ consciousness. And
Yeah.
for that, it's love. It's this unity. It's that knowing of we are one with Source. And and in that now moment, we're living that. And so that is the essence of who we are. And we always have in every now moment that choice. We choose the fear, we choose love. And so we begin to really embody that consciousness. And so we become living love. We're living love. And then the outer expression is we love life.
Right.
Okay, yes, yes. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. So when people come up against something that could be fearful,
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, so something's up, I'm feeling scared, nervous, uncomfortable, unsure about there's a lot of uncertainty right now in the collective
Right.
consciousness about what's going to be happening. And a lot of people aren't as clear and, stepping into that power. So let's say something fearful for somebody comes up. How do they choose love over fear? What do they do?
Well, one of the things is we found they've got to be ready for the message. They have to be ready to step into coming into joy and faith, trusting spirit, and their path might they might have to go down the road of their or go down their path a little ways to get there. But we're all destined to get there. It doesn't matter. We're all going to get there. But the thing is to begin to trust spirit. Go within and begin to trust spirit. Spirit is always there, will always listen, and will work with you.
For me, it is going into the feeling. It's almost recognizing that fear is safe. If you can go into and actually, I've had so many times where, all of that anxiety things and allow myself to accept those feelings, not resist the feelings, but to accept it. And that energy, it's like surrendering into the fear.
Mm-hmm.
And in the surrendering of the fear, it because what's greater than that is the love. It's like when we keep surrendering the fears and cry. I release a lot through my tears, and so just allowing those emotions to flow and surrender, that gets dissolved. I had this. We hang on when we identify and hang on to that fear. It becomes like our identity. But when we surrender it, we can feel it. It's like the waves come through us, but it's like it's on its way out. It's a process of just lightening.
Yeah.
We recognize that yes, there's fear there. It's just energy. It's not like fear's bad. No,
Yeah.
it is a place where we have cut ourselves off from the love that is everywhere. That's all it is.
It's also a matter of coming to truly know who you are, who you really are. You are eternal, you are divine, you are not just loving, you are love itself, you are joy, and in this you have complete freedom, you have harmony, you are truth, you are beauty, and you are a co-creator. This is who you really are. It isn't something that you're going to become. It isn't something to hope for. It's who you really are. And you go to that place. And if you can feel that love of who you really are, you love yourself and it helps you get through the shadow times because you can always go there.
Yeah.
And the shadow is just part of, I like to call, some call it the illusion, I like to call it the construct. It's something that we work with because we've come here to experience opposites. You can't experience fear in the spirit. There's nothing to fear. There is no fear. But you can do it here, and in doing that, you can see its opposite, whether you think of it in terms of courage or if you think of it in terms of love. And we get to really know love and courage and all these wonderful qualities by experiencing their opposites. It's just the game we've come to play. But it's not us. We are not this construct. We're just experiencing it. Just like we're not really our thoughts. We're not really our egos. We're not really our personalities. Do you think, I'm going to be Richard when I go to the other side for all eternity? Oh, yes, there's Richard. Oh, no, this is just a role I'm playing for now. But when I go to the other side, I'm going to expand again and feel more of my true self. Now, when you think in those terms, loving yourself and dealing with what's going on here in the world becomes doable. You see a way through, and it's through working with spirit, through grace, through faith. Grace is a big part of it because we have limits here. Spirit knows no limits, and that's what you can call. That's what you can call on in these times when things, when you don't like what's going on in the world, for instance, or in your life.
Great. Yes. And a couple of things here. So to go back to what Kim was talking about. So when shit comes up, emotions, when emotions come up, I agree that one of the best ways to release them and not get caught up into them is to express them.
Yeah.
And because what we resist persists, right? So when we don't resist it, like, God, I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be mad. I don't want to be fearful. Then you're focused on it. You keep putting that energy in it and it's going to keep happening. So when we just go, okay, I'm getting angry right now, or I'm frustrated, whatever it is, and just let it out and express yourself. Sometimes it might be taking a pillow and hitting it on the bed. And I realized, back in 2023, when I went to a conference in Mexico, and I had a healing session with a shaman, and he was saying, and I'm a Pisces too. I'm not an angry person. I've got a lot of just open heart, love, joy, my whole life, been very positive. However, a lot of what was going on in the world with the lockdowns, and I call it the bullshit, I was angry about, and I didn't even realize that I was that angry about it. And I had put it inside, and the shaman in my session told me, man, you have a lot of anger. And I cry to release stuff too. That's my release mechanism. And I just started crying, and we released it all. And so I think sometimes it's important to know that we don't necessarily realize that we're even holding on to some emotions sometimes. How it happens is something will trigger us usually.
Yes.
And so when something triggers us, that's when it'll come out. And I want to talk about how you guys deal with triggers too. But first, I wanted to share with you what Richard was saying, because way back, I think it was, I don't know, early 2000s or way back, I had this vision, this download. I was in my hot tub back in Mount Shasta, and I had this vision that all of a sudden, everybody in the whole world woke up instantly and remembered their divinity. And it was like we were all in a theater, in a play, and we all had our parts. And I was Jill, and you were Kim, and you were Richard, and we all played our roles. But we all woke up and realized it. And we went outside and we looked around at other people. We looked them in the eyes, and we just kind of laughed. And like the guy who was the the homeless guy and begging and all hunched over. He stood up straight and went, I played a good homeless guy. And
That's right.
the wealthy guy that had 10 cars, he's like, oh, geez, I don't need all that. Do you need a car? Who needs a car? I don't need all these cars. Let's just, and it was like we realized we were all brothers and sisters and all playing the same game. And it was
Yeah.
like, the gig is up, guys. And we just evened out the playing field in a sense of like, oh yeah, we're all divine beings. And it was just,
Right.
And that was the world party.
yeah,
The
it
world
was a
party.
party. Yeah, for
Can
sure.
I real quickly tell a quick experience? It was a dream, but it was really powerful. I walked up to this really hideous octopus-like monster. And he was flailing his tentacles and menacing. And I looked straight into its evil eye and I said, "We are sovereign beings of light and choose to no longer be under your control." And then I lightly touched its tentacle and instantly it deflated like a popped balloon. And I turned and looked and saw the world. It was like this huge world party. Everybody was celebrating. And when I came out of that experience, I knew that it was fear that fed the beast.
Yeah.
The beast,
Yes.
the beast of control. I mean, the whole system that we have been, the matrix, whatever you want to call it, it's
Sure.
fear. And when we individually feel that fear, transmute it. There's our divine being. We love ourselves even when we love the person that is feeling the fear, and we just allow ourselves to love it. We release it. Every time we do that, with every thought, every emotion, we expand more into who we are, these loving beings. That is what is changing the world.
Right.
And that's
Right.
this world party. We're moving into that.
Yes. Well, and you see that if people watch the mainstream news and even the alternative news, there is a lot of, they call it fear porn, right? It's just because that gets views. That's what people want to watch. So I think there's a balance there. I like to watch a lot of alternative news to know what's going on in the world.
Right.
But how do we do that and not get pulled in or wrapped up into it? Like, I just watch it like a movie. I
Yes.
think that's kind of, right, the
Exactly.
helpful way to do it, like remembering this whole theater
Yes.
idea as we watch it and go, okay, this guy's this part, this, and they even call them actors like that. I noticed about, I don't know, 5-6 years ago that the mainstream news started calling people actors.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, and I thought that was so odd.
Wow.
That they're talking about it, they're telling the truth, but no one really picked up on that, and they still do it, like this actor, that actor, when everyone is, and a lot of them actually on the news are paid actors, like literally.
Well,
Yeah.
So it's like these,
Well,
it's crazy.
the way I look at it is, if you want to get into that, I've got to watch the news, I got to see what's going on, and I get emotionally involved. There's just no end to it. No end. So how do you get out of it? I look at the news more as taking notes because I'm a light worker, and every so often I send light out to the world, and I send light into those situations where I feel light is needed. Now, how would I know about what's needed unless I watch the news? But it's not because I'm stuck on fear porn or anything like that. It's because I want to know where to send light. And when I do send light, I never tell the light what to do. It's not like a prayer. I just send light to this situation, like sending light to the people in North Carolina that went through that terrible hurricane, sending light to the people in California that went through those terrible fires. But I don't tell the light what to do because the light knows far better what to do
Than we do. Yeah.
I just being an observer, watching the movie, but then we have completely focused on creating the world that we love. And
Right.
for us, this is why we've created our YouTube channel, the website, because we're all about bringing together, finding those who resonate and become part of the living love, loving life tribe.
Tribe.
There you go.
There are
Woo!
Right.
people that resonate with, yes, this is the world that we can live in. Well, this is the world that we can live in. And so to put our attention and our focus on that and connecting with those that who resonate like you, and just increasing that, because that's the world that's being born.
Hmm.
That is the world that's being born out of the ashes of the old. And so,
And by the way, it's inevitable.
I agree.
It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of just when. And the thing is that when is happening right now, because there are couples and people, individuals like us, who are feeling the same way and doing the same thing in their way. And I feel we are connected across the collective consciousness. And whether we have ever met or not doesn't matter. We are all working together to bring this about. And that's one of the reasons I came into this incarnation, to bring that about. And I'm with my partner now, where we can do it as a couple. And we often talk about this, that our power is enhanced because of our union through the divine masculine and the divine feminine, which is the creative force. And so we are creating together with everyone else the new heaven and earth.
yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And are you guys, we, in our emails, you talked about getting an RV, or just traveling around the United States pretty soon, and at the end of March, I think it was. And yeah, and are you thinking about starting a community, creating a community?
We physically starting one, no, except that we feel like we, in our travels, spreading the good news,
Yes.
spreading the good news about the kingdom, of living love and loving life. We feel that we're going to connect, and we want to connect with like-minded people. And yes, we want to find that community. As far as actually building one, I don't know. I don't know.
No,
It's easier to join one than start one, for
we're
sure.
we're open to, we're open to what the universe has for us, because,
Yeah.
if you'd asked me, a year ago if I was going to meet the love of my life, I would have said, I don't think so. In fact, I don't plan on a relationship again. And here I am. So a community, how it comes about, how we
Yeah.
come into it, if we start one.
Well, and I think it's also, I mean, we know our giftings, and we know in building an actual physical thing, it requires multiple gifts. And so it really is, magnetizing the people that we all resonate with, that also may have those skills to actually build the
Right.
real community. So
Yeah, that's
Well,
that
there's
we
a
know. Well, but we don't, it's a lot we don't know, but what we do know is that you are connecting with our
yes,
living, love, loving life tribe.
yes.
Great. Yeah. Well, and there's so many people out there that want to live in community with like-minded people, that I imagine you're going to be running across a lot of people that would be good fit for your community,
Mhm.
that you're going to be creating.
Yeah, we keep getting think big. It's like you're not
Yeah.
dreaming big enough.
Right.
Like, oh,
Yeah, you
I
might
thought
be.
I dreamt pretty big, but
You might be. We'll see. We'll see. But it's good to be open minded. That's how I feel. Like I'm selling my house and here in the Caribbean, and I might be doing the same thing, traveling around and meeting community, different people, and I might start one. Maybe we'll start one together. Who knows? So
yeah,
there's all
No.
keep us posted.
Yeah,
all
Definitely. We'll stay connected.
yeah.
yeah. So I listened to your singing and drumming, Native American drumming, Kim, and it
Yes.
was absolutely beautiful. Is that something you do by yourself? Are you guys making music together now too?
Well, that is, yeah, that's more what I do myself, and I have a separate channel, but I want anybody watching this, that particular my personal channel, I'm going to be closing that and just completely moving everything over to our channel, where we're combining wit and wisdom, the spiritual and the
The sublime and the
ridiculous.
ridiculous. That's right.
So on our channel, we will have, the poetry, this light language music, but we also do these talks, like we're talking here. We're going to have talks on spiritual topics. We also do these really funny skits,
Yes.
and we do music. We do have some music that we're doing together. One is a song that's coming out that's hilarious, and then some choruses that we're going to be sharing. So,
Great.
but yeah, the light language is just something that, yeah, that's something I received this gift years ago, and it's just whenever I walk or just this language just comes through me, and so
In the
it's
bathtub when you're taking a shower. It's beautiful. She has the door closed and I'm in the apartment here and I hear this light language being sung and it's just beautiful.
yeah. So I want to start moving a lot of that music over onto our new channel.
Good, good. Well, I'll put a link below this interview to your YouTube, whichever, your website and your YouTube, whatever you want.
The Kim and Richard, the kimandrichard.com. Yeah,
Good. So is that the name, kimandrichard.com? That's the website.
that's the website.
Hey, good name. You got it. Good job.
Yeah, and then the YouTube channel, and the link to the YouTube channel is on our website, but the YouTube is the Kim and Richard Show.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm excited about your collaboration together. When we didn't talk about your marriage, when did you get married and what was, did you have what was
we
it
were
like?
supposed to get married in October in Tennessee, but then Hurricane Helene came through and well, that was the end of that. We had to cancel. And, we were supposed to have a honeymoon in Brevard. Well, that wasn't possible. And so
Honeymoon where?
Brevard, North Carolina,
Oh, okay.
and
I
that had
don't
been
know it.
affected by the hurricane. So the marriage, the honeymoon, all was off. So we decided, rather than try to put together another one, that we would just get married between ourselves.
We had a private little ceremony
That's right.
on December
21st
21st.
in front of a fireplace in St. Augustine, Florida, and we had one witness, a miniature poodle.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And okay, and you're living in Virginia now and you're about to pack up and just head out and not have a home base for a while.
That's right.
Yeah.
Great.
We plan to do some house sitting,
Visiting friends.
yeah.
And
You guys do remind me of John and Annie. You in your email you mentioned that they inspired you to do this video, and because there's a lot of similarities, even with your list, Richard. Because that's what John had written a list, and Annie was everything on his list too. And it was, lists are some people think that's kind of an old-fashioned way of manifesting somebody, but I don't think so. I mean, two of you guys that happened for where your partners were exactly everything on your list. And so it just goes to show, I think when you write the list and you combine that with the visioning and imagining they're already there. And it's also, it's beyond imagining they're already there. It's tapping into the future. Right. You're actually tapping into that energy of being together, and you're bringing it into the present, which might speed it up a bit or just make it like, yes, I do want that. I am ready for that. And then I it's funny because I've interviewed several people now, several couples, and there's themes that work. And I'll probably do an interview that really I'll do little clips of the interview and then talk about it, because there's these great themes between the couples, like Inan and Elias. They neither of them were even looking for a relationship when they joined Spiritual Singles, and they both just let it go. Like they weren't even looking, but they both were guided to get on the site.
Very
Like you
cool.
guys, they felt this call of like, well, I'm not, and they were unattached. Like they were,
Mhm.
and even in and said, if I don't meet somebody ever, like I was okay with that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right.
But she said there was still this desire, like this
Yeah.
deep desire to connect. I think we all as humans have that of wanting that's partner. And when it's a spiritual partner who enhances your life and makes everything better, that's the ideal. And as you're retired, I mean, how wonderful is that to be able to share your time and energy and love with
Mhm.
someone, for your when you're not working and spending and you are working now, but it's like completely fun and everything you want
Oh,
to do.
completely.
Yeah, I have to
What
say,
are your what do go
when
ahead.
when you're working, you get a chance to be away from your partner and you get, some hiatus. We're together all the time.
Yeah.
And I just have to say, I love every minute of it.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you
And
find the right one, you
it's
love
easy.
every minute of it.
My
Yeah. Yeah.
my first month with Richard, I laughed more that first month than I did probably my entire life. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no.
that's another really good sign and a good confirmation, right?
Yeah.
When your partner makes you laugh. I mean, yeah. I mean,
And
I've
he
had
brought
times.
out the inner comic in me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes, he did.
Well,
Well,
it makes a big difference when someone says to you, looks in your eyes and says, I accept you completely for the way you are. I cherish you. I adore you. I appreciate you. Don't change a thing.
That's
yeah.
and
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
that's a
how,
reflection of what I've shared with myself.
yeah.
You get
Yeah.
to that level of self-love and self-acceptance,
It's powerful.
that's
Yeah.
what
And then because, yeah, it's a total reflection because when you feel that towards yourself, 100%,
yeah,
you can manifest and draw in a partner that is the same. They just accept you completely as you are,
yeah.
100%. Don't change a freaking thing. I love you as
Right.
you are. Yeah. That's so cool.
Why would I want her to change anything? She's so like me.
Yeah,
I'd have to not
And
like
you love,
myself. Why don't you change that? No, it's just like me. I'm a twin, and Kim is more like me than my twin.
oh, really? Wow.
Really. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Well, yeah, it's that compatibility. You've got to have the compatibility, lots of similar interests, and the chemistry and connection. And that's the chemistry is sexual, but it's also the sense of humor and just that
Hmm.
you really love being together and
Oh
hanging
yeah.
out, and you make each other laugh and you get each other's sense of humor, you
Uh-huh.
know, because we all don't have the same sense of humor.
Yeah.
So when that aligns, that's very powerful.
Very
And
powerful.
then the communication, did you have any triggers that came up originally? Do you have any, like, do you get triggered? And if so, what do you do when it happens?
Well, I have to say that, I've been in, two other marriages, two other major long-term relationships. So I know the ego game, know how that
Mhm.
works. With
Yeah.
Kim, there is no ego game.
Mm.
We're just genuine with one another,
yeah.
and uh, we don't fight. If
No.
if there's something that, s- it's more something feels a little off,
Yeah,
and then we just talk about it,
yeah,
and
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
we get through it.
yeah,
And it usually has to do not so much with something that's wrong or what you call wrong. It's just we just need to communicate more.
Hmm.
We just need to share our feelings more. And when
yeah.
we do
Yeah.
that, it all works out.
So for me, and it's like you come up to some old patterns, and you get aware enough that you recognize, oh, that's an old pattern. It's not he's doing something wrong, he's triggered me or
Mhm.
whatever. It's more of I have a pattern that's coming up. And for me, it's usually if I would be feeling something, I kind of would put this little wall up, and I need my alone time, which is fine. We need our alone time.
Sure.
But it was more of me. I wasn't pushing him out, but yet it felt like I was pushing him out. So it's more of just being able to open and say, hey, what is going on? And for me to be really vulnerable if I'm feeling, whatever I'm feeling, very emotional about something. It's like learning, oh, it is really safe. It is really safe
It's safe.
to be completely, a hot crying mess, in this moment.
But she's my mess.
And so the trigger it wasn't like a trigger, but he could tell something's off.
Oh, yeah.
There's something
Yeah.
off here. Yeah, there's something off.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like a hot mess, and I need to go just kind of go, ooh. And he's like, no, you don't
Well,
have to go, ooh. You can cry. You can have alone time, but let me be there for you too. So
And I'm
things like that.
not a fixer.
He's not a fixer.
I don't fix, I just allow. Just cry on my shoulder. That's all I want.
mhm.
I'm not going to fix you. Kim knows how to fix herself. I know how to fix myself. We just
Yeah.
express to one another what we're feeling.
Yeah.
We've been through a lot of shadows,
Yeah.
a lot of past experiences, and it's really great when when you're with someone who understands that and how the process works and how you can get through it and how you've had triggers
Yeah.
and that entire scenario. And we talk about it quite often about not that something's happening between us, but
No.
more like, well, this is what I experienced in the past. I just want to tell you about it.
Yeah.
It's more like that.
Yeah.
And if
Well,
there is some kind of little, what a trigger, you already know what is it inside here?
That's right.
yeah.
Not
You're
about the
taking,
other person.
No,
yeah, you're taking responsibility for your own stuff
right.
and also healing it. And it might take the other person to give you a nudge and go, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
What's going on right now? You seem a little off.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
then, because that's like me talking about the anger back, in the past that I didn't even know it was there. So
Right.
sometimes it takes the other person to go point it out and go, hey, you seem a little angry underneath all that smiley shit. What's going on?
Yeah.
And then I can go, oh, yeah, it's there. It's there.
Yeah.
I get excited these days. Like if I get triggered, something comes up where it's
Yeah.
an old pattern, old habit,
Yeah.
and I realize it, and it's not helpful, not like a go swim in the morning habit, like a unhealthy habit. Then when I realize it, I go, oh, okay, now let me work on this, let me heal it. And instead of getting defensive or upset about it or frustrated, right? It's a gift, and it's just a matter of, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to, let those emotions out? Do I need to, what is it? Do I need to go? Sometimes I, go back to when it originally happened, like when I first started feeling those feelings, and go back to the little girl and go through that kind of a process and heal it up that way. When we have had practice with this, it is easier to do it ourselves. And sometimes, just for the people listening, sometimes you might need a therapist, you might need a friend, you might need a healer, somebody to help you unearth these old triggers and habits to release them for good. Because then the more complete and whole we are, do you hear that? That was weird. But the more complete and whole we are, the better it is to come into a relationship with a partner. And we're never going to be completely there. That's part of the beauty of being in a relationship, is we help each other heal and grow. I always see it as two balloons rising up in the air, and one doesn't pull the other string down. It's like, no, we go up, and one might go up a little bit more, and it's kind of like, but we rise together. And that's the beauty of a conscious, loving, spiritual, awakened relationship where we're helping each other out like you guys are doing.
Right. And what helps is total acceptance of one another, because when you have total acceptance, you're not dealing with judgment. you're listening, you're helping, and it's not a matter of judgment. It's a matter of, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
That's huge. We kind of keep coming back to that. And I think that's kind of the theme of this interview is the letting go of judgment and because we all have had that inner critic of ourselves. And when
Oh,
we can,
yes.
big time, I know I have, and it's like when we can really like deeply, unconditionally love ourselves and let go of that judgment and critic, no matter what it's about. And we've all made mistakes. It's forgiving. A lot of it comes with forgiving ourselves. That's helpful to get there. And
Mhm.
then once we're there, then to bring in that partner and to not be critical of them, not be judgmental, not expecting them to be something they're not,
Right.
Yes.
just completely acceptance and loving them exactly as they are. And if you're not willing to do that with that person, they're probably not
Right.
the one for you.
Right.
Well, with total acceptance and no judgment, you can also drop any feelings of shame.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can talk to Kim about how in the past I've worried about things. I can talk about my fears. I can talk about my failings.
Mhm.
And it's shame is not a problem with that.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
and so you can be very, very open, and that's what makes the relationship so powerful is that openness that we can have one to another.
Yeah.
And it's an emotional openness, it's a mental openness, it's a spiritual openness.
Mhm. Beautiful. So beautiful. I'm so glad and grateful that you guys met on Conscious Singles. And I'm so happy that you've shared your story with us. And because it does take some courage to
Oh,
come on these interviews and share your story. And it's so inspiring for people who haven't met their person yet. It lets them know. I'm getting emotional. Like it lets them know it's possible and it works. And
it
It
is.
does.
It does.
yeah.
Yeah, and we are go into the story on our YouTube channel which we've just launched. We've just started we're doing it breaking up in little vignettes. And there we get a little bit more into detail of,
Hmm.
the journey, but um yeah, it not only is it possible, it's who we are. It's
Yeah,
who we are. And yeah, that's that's
yeah,
the beauty.
It's Yeah, and it's possible for everyone. And I think people forget sometimes because they might have gotten rejected or whatever their experience is where it hasn't worked or they
Oh
just have
God.
given up. And that's
hmm,
part of why I'm doing these interviews. I want to give people that hope and let them know like, hey, it is
And
possible. It does
it's such
work.
a service because I went through that. I mean, I was on these online things and oh God, I just, and that's why I had such a love-hate relationship. I just, you have these experiences and then you really think something's going to work and no, and that disappointment. But we get to love ourselves even more
hmm,
and be there for ourselves, which
Mhm.
even strengthens that commitment to our own self-love. And it then also helped, I mean, for me, it just helped me let go of attachment. Just, is not get attached and just really it's like a journey of surrender, 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 surrender. And
Yeah.
just a knowing in my heart that it's all in divine timing.
hmm.
Yes.
We can't,
Surrendering and trusting, right?
yeah, and
Trusting.
we can't miss what's destined for our highest good.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
We
Yeah,
can't
You
yeah.
miss it.
we have said to ourselves, why didn't we meet earlier?
Yeah.
We have such this great relationship. We
Mm.
meet, we're in our 70s. Why do we meet now? And the answer is, in order for us to be the people we are, one to another, we had to go through all those other experiences. And we even say, I think back to how I was 20 years ago, say, we could have met when we were younger. And I think
No, we could.
I was a different person,
Mm-mm.
and it would have been a very different experience. The time was right. And we planned this before we came into this incarnation. So we can't say, why was it so late? No, we planned this. So
Yeah.
Yeah. You're in your how old are you? What's your age? What are your ages?
I'm 75.
And I just turned 70 2 days ago.
Yeah, my birthday girl here.
Yeah. So, so that's the other thing is that it's never too late.
Nope.
And yeah, I mean, age is just a number. We don't
Just a
feel
number.
like it. We're
New
youthing.
thing. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it also shows that I have always encouraged people to be open-minded about age range, location, looks, certain
Mhm.
things, because chemistry comes in all shapes and sizes and ages and colors
Mhm.
and everything. So I can't, 5 years apart, you guys, I'm surprised you weren't in each other's age ranges because that's not very much. That's,
Well, yeah, for me,
and I'm glad you.
yeah, I was like, I didn't want anybody like over 70 or 71 because, my mind there,
I
but
get it.
yeah,
Yeah, I get it. And these days people are much healthier. A lot of people are much healthier
Yes.
in our older years. And it's, yeah, 70 is the new 50.
Right.
exactly.
So you're
Well,
great. Yeah, yeah.
we take care of ourselves. We take supplements. We eat organic food. We exercise, and we we don't take. Neither of us take pharmaceuticals. So,
Excellent. Yeah, me neither.
and we hike, we walk, uh,
Well, and we're happy,
and we're happy. Yes.
And
happy,
that's so key. Yeah.
Attitude.
and we laugh a lot.
A
So there you
lot.
have it.
A
That's
lot.
how you stay young.
That's right.
Here, you've got all the pieces together, and
Yeah.
now you're just off on your next journey that's going to be creating whatever else in your lives that's going to be amazing. I see it, I feel it. You guys are rocking and rolling. I love it. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. We're just so excited to meet you, Jill, in a couple of weeks.
That's one of the things that we have, on my list was the woman who will go to Unity with me because I'm a Unity member. And when you know it.
Yeah. And so we're going to go and it's called a celebration of love, right? And we tell, a shorter version of, our story, how we met, but in the context of the greater story of all of us coming, it's a love story. We're experiencing the grandest love story there ever was. And it's the love story of coming home to ourselves, fully in love. And so we combine telling our story and then sharing some music. And then I have this poem that I feel very strongly to share with people. And then this invitation of the vision of the Living Love, Loving Life tribe. We have a raffle. We're going to give away mugs and our t-shirts.
Oh yeah, we call ourselves Forever Honeymooners, and
In deep
and
cahoots.
we're in
I
deep
love
cahoots. That's right.
it. So
Yeah,
cute.
we
See?
went for a drive. We went on a hike and we were taking a drive on the Blue Ridge Parkway and we were laughing and just carrying on. This was several months ago. And I just said, honey, I feel like we're forever honeymooners. And we were like, yeah, forever honeymooners. And then we just had this inspiration for a t-shirt. So we created this whole forever honeymooners line, which, yeah,
Yeah.
It's
that's,
good. It's a good catchy phrase too. It's cute. Do you want it? Why don't you read the poem to me? I'd love to hear it.
okay. Well, I got it memorized, but I wanted to pull it up unless I had a momentary, okay, but I think I'll remember it. Okay, this is for you, Jill. This is for
Thank you.
Jill. Walking by the mirror, I take a momentary glance, not lingering long until one day, lured as if in a trance, Looking, I see another peering through, whispering ever so tenderly, I love you. I love you. I love you. Those words gently cascading, tears stream down my face. The veil parts, no more evading every grace-filled drop, cleansing layers of brokenness and shame. Unconditional love pouring through. I will never be the same. That impassioned stare speaks volumes to my pain, acknowledging the gift, the beauty that's always been yearning for that gaze to affirm the truth inside. I see you. I love you. No longer shall you hide. A soul lost in forgetting, masked by layers of suffering, longing for these eyes, my eyes, miraculously uncovering my divine reflection now penetrates the depths of my being. Transfixed now, I have a new way of seeing. Walking out into the world, these love-filled eyes burning, seeking to look into the eyes of all to assist in their returning. Neighbors, children, and those who pass along the street, may this glowing affection, flames of love, reach out to all I greet. I see you. I love you. I am you, and you are me. Look into these eyes, and you too will see divinity. Your own reflection gazing back at you, reminding you of what you always knew. Looking away in neglect, we quickly disremember to acknowledge the gift, fan the flame of light-filled embers within, glows beauty's luminescence. Unconditional love, our core, true essence. I see you. I love you. I am you. And you are me. Look into these eyes and you too will see divinity. Your own reflection gazing back at you, reminding you of what you always knew. So that's
Wow,
poem on
beautiful.
self-love.
That was amazing. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to share it.
Thank you again for doing the interview, and I think it will inspire a lot of people. And I think we covered some good ground and gave everybody some good tips. And yeah, I wish you the best.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us. It was
Thank
a real
you.
joy.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.